Under the harsh, white glow of the precinct's overhead lights, the air was stale silent, except for the distant hum of bureaucracy grinding away behind closed doors. That silence cracked like a whip. It wasn't a gunshot, but it might as well have been. The sound of palm meeting skin rang out across the cramped interrogation room. A slap. Brutal. Audacious. And from that single act, a system began to fracture. Detective Brian Keating stood with his hands suspended midair, as if frozen by his own disbelief. Across from him stood Dr. Selina Ward, unmoving, unshaken. Her cheek bore the sharp, red outline of his fingers, but not a tear fell from her eyes. No screams, no rage, just one slow inhale. Composed, controlled, calculated. "Do you have any idea who you just assaulted?" Her voice was low, quiet, but it carried the weight of a gavel crashing down on a courtroom bench. Keating scoffed, as if to swat away the tension. "What? You think you're somebody special? This ain't Park Avenue, sweetheart. This is the Bronx." Selina didn't respond. She turned and glanced at the clock on the wall. 1:56 p.m. For minutes. That's how long it would take for the world, as they knew it, to change. She wasn't just any woman. Her name was Dr. Selina Ward, Federal District Judge, Southern District of New York, a Yale law graduate, the first black woman to hold her post. She had once worn the robe and wielded the gavel in the most powerful courtroom in the state. But today she stood in this precinct not as a judge, not in official capacity, but as a concerned citizen, a mentor, an advocate, a friend. She was there for 16-year-old Andre Miller. Andre had been detained without a warrant, no witnesses, no clear charges, just a bruised temple and fear in his eyes. Selina had entered the station with calm purpose, only to be met with rolled eyes and sneering commentary. "Thinks she's too good for the Bronx," one officer muttered. That officer's name was noted. Officer Ryan Marsh. Another name for the record. When Selina finally found Andre, he was handcuffed, injured, and alone in an interrogation room. She demanded answers. "He's a family friend," she said calmly. "I'm requesting a formal explanation and legal representation." Sergeant Philip Daniels slammed his palm onto the metal table. "This ain't some bleeding heart NGO meeting. This is the NYPD. We don't answer to feelings." And then Keating struck her. Selina didn't flinch. She didn't back away. She simply raised her phone, pressed a number already saved in her contacts, and whispered, "Precinct 19, room 304. Immédiate intervention." At 1:58 p.m., she hung up. "You've made the gravest error of your career," she told Sergeant Daniels. Turning to Detective Keating, her voice was ice. "And you just signed your own termination papers." Exactly at 2 p.m., the door burst open. 3 figures entered, 2 men and 1 woman. Each wore government-issued suits and badges clipped neatly to their lapels. "Internal Affairs Bureau," the woman said. "Federal Oversight Division." Silence drowned the room. Daniel's skin blanched. Keating's jaw locked. "This officer," Selina pointed directly at Keating, "just assaulted a federal judge performing her civic duty. My hearing is hereby relocated. This precinct is now a federal venue." The entire mood shifted. Every officer who had sneered now stared wide-eyed. They didn't see a civilian anymore. They saw power, real power, lawful, unyielding, and aimed directly at them. Selina stood taller now, her voice calm, almost motherly as she turned to Andre, still handcuffed. "You're going home today, Andre," she whispered. "You'll walk out of here with your dignity intact. They, on the other hand, will be broken." The hearing began less than an hour later in that very precinct. Cameras were installed. Reporters gathered. Every eye was on the woman in the dark navy coat, standing beneath the precinct's fluorescent glare. Detective Keating sat with a public defender by his side. He hadn't said a word since the officials arrived, but his face was taut with tension. Selina stepped forward with a portfolio. "Do you know who I am now?" she asked, not smugly, but with solemn gravity. Keating looked down. "Now I do." She dropped a stack of documents on the table. 12 prior complaints, she said clearly. 12. All alleging racial abuse, misconduct, and excessive force, all filed by black, brown, poor, or otherwise vulnerable individuals, and all conveniently dismissed. Gasps echoed around the room. You didn't hit me because I was a threat. You didn't hit me because I was breaking the law. You hit me because my face challenged your perception of authority, because my skin didn't match your image of deference, because I dared to ask questions in a place you believed belonged only to men like you. Keating's attorney interjected. Your honor me client was unaware of your distinguished role. Selina didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. And if I had been a schoolteacher, a single mother, a janitor, would your client's actions have then been acceptable? Violence is not made lawful by the ignorance of its target. The problem is not who I am. It is who your client has chosen to be. Nadine Torres stepped forward. These are the names of the complainants, she said, voice shaking with fury. Marcus Albright, Letitia Brown, Dante Williams. Every single one denied justice until now. Keating stood, desperate. I was doing my job. No, Selina said. You were wearing a uniform while committing crimes. That doesn't make it your job, it makes you a criminal in disguise. The federal monitors ruled in favor of immediate administrative leave. Detective Keating was handcuffed, a symbolic reversal. His weapon and badge were confiscated on the spot. Selina did not smile. She did not celebrate. She simply turned to MS Torres and said, if this man had 12 buried complaints, someone in this department buried them. Someone protected him. This goes deeper. By 6 p.m., a formal federal inquiry was launched. The mayor's office released a statement. Human rights organizations held press conferences. Social media erupted. Justice for Andre. Selina Ward. End impunity now. She called another press conference. This is no longer about one slap. This is about a system that normalizes the abuse of black and brown bodies, then turns its back in silence. That silence ends today. Within 48 hours, 16 officers were placed on leave. 3 precinct officials resigned. Internal records were leaked to the press. Surveillance footage confirmed it. No crime, no cause. Just a scared teenager stopped for looking suspicious in a hoodie. He was exonerated. His mother wept in Selina's arms. I thought no one would believe us, she said. They didn't have to believe, Selina replied. But the retaliation came quickly. An anonymous voicemail was left on her office phone. That judge? She's a problem. We're going to fix that. Selina reported it to the DOJ. Federal protection was assigned immediately. Still, the threats escalated. Photos of her house taken from across the street. A doctored file leaked to the media accusing her of bias. None of it stuck. She was prepared. She had learned long ago that truth needed armor. Selina went on television. I will not be silenced, she told the country. I'm still standing. And I'm not standing alone. Stand with Ward began trending worldwide. From school teachers in Alabama to barristers in London. From high schoolers in Detroit to ministers in Johannesburg. When Selina returned to court, reporters filled the steps. She walked past them without a word. The hearings that followed were fierce. Officers confessed to falsifying records. A captain admitted to shredding complaints. The police union president resigned. Selina chaired a judicial task force on policing reform. Mandatory anti-racism training rolled out across departments. State-level legislation passed requiring external oversight of misconduct investigations. Detective Keating tried to appeal the charges, but the evidence was overwhelming. Audio recordings, patterns of abuse, internal cover-ups. Outside the courthouse, a mural appeared on a brick wall, a painting of Selina's face in profile, her eyes resolute, her expression calm. Below it, the words, "Silence no more." Within a year, the precinct where it all began was transformed. New leadership, community liaisons, transparency mandates, anonymous reporting systems. Real reform, not just PR. And Selina Ward? She never returned to the bench in the same way again. Her courtroom had expanded far beyond 4 walls and a wooden gavel. Now, her presence was everywhere change was needed. From town halls to national conferences. From city councils to Capitol Hill. "I don't want to be remembered for being slapped," she said once, "but for making sure no one else had to be." Justice wasn't a moment. It was a movement, and it had only just begun.